So welcome everyone. Good morning. This is Cesar. I'm Cesar Trabanco. I'm the VP of Business Services at the Global Chamber. And the Global Chamber is a business community around the world. We have chapters in different cities and countries, and our main vision is to connect people globally to help them expand their business and serve as a trusted network for whoever is interested in exploring new markets. Through the Global Chamber, I had the pleasure to connect some local amazing people from Puerto Rico that will be helping us today to understand more about the opportunities in the island. We will be dividing the panel in three different sections. We are a small group here today, so we want to probably keep some space for Q&As. Make sure you all connect and you all learn even more. The panel is doing business in Puerto Rico as a platform for growth across the Americas. And you're all here as part of the Festival of the Diaspora. I think one of the main mission of the festival is to connect leaders throughout the region. So Puerto Rico is the perfect bridge. It's the perfect place for that, and you will confirm that today with the panel. I would like to first ask everyone to introduce so you can all learn a little bit more about them. Let's start with Marisel Valentin, manager member of Valentin Law Group.
Hi, good morning. My name is Marisel Valentin. I'm a corporate and tax attorney, the managing member of Valentin Law Group. What I do is assist businesses, international and local business, do their business structuring. I also assist companies with incentives, and I also assist high net worth individuals in Puerto Rico to do their estate planning. So my goal for this panel is I know you're visiting for the weekend, is for you to move to Puerto Rico and start a business in Puerto Rico. So hopefully that is achieved. So I'm going to pass the mic to Mr. John Colastin.
Thank you. Morning to all. My name is John Colastin. I was born and raised in this beautiful island. Though my family is not from here, they're originally from Haiti. But I've been kind of experienced and can testify how warm and welcoming this island is to locals and foreigners. And when I heard about the festival and that you guys will be here in town, I said, be more than happy to share our experiences and how to help you guys to make decisions, as Marisel mentioned, to come down, invest, and have businesses here in the island. So pleasure to be with you this morning.
Good morning, Arnaldo Soto. I'm the principal of Soto Specialty Group. We specialize in insurance and bonding. I'm also the president of the Puerto Rico Virgin Islands Infrastructure Cluster. And we're here to talk about opportunities that are currently available in Puerto Rico and in the USVI. But most importantly, we need your help. I mean, we need laborers, we need logistics, we need supply chain. I mean, there is a lot of work still to do from Hurricane Maria, and we need as much help as we can get from this mainland for people to repatriate and come here and help us.
Thank you. And I will take Marisel's words and take it a step further. Go back, tell your friends, tell your family, your clients about what you're learning today, because you never know, maybe one of your clients is really looking to expand and could benefit of Puerto Rico. So that's our goal today. Let's start with the first section, which is really simple, like why Puerto Rico? Why Puerto Rico being a jurisdiction of the U.S. as a bridge for you in the Americas? So I would like to address the first question to John. And John, so Puerto Rico is often described as a gateway between the U.S. and Latin America. From a strategic perspective, what makes Puerto Rico uniquely positioned for companies looking to expand across the Americas?
Okay, I would like to start with a question. How many of you has your first time here in the island? 3, okay, good. So the other ones who have been here before, how you will feel about the understanding of what Puerto Rico is? It tends to be a little bit challenging, right? Because we are a U.S. territory, but we speak Spanish, we use U.S. dollars. So I know it can be a little bit confusing. So we trying to achieve with this panel to help you guys understand really the advantages and what are we as Puerto Rico and what we have to offer. So in terms of being a hub or being a bridge between Latin America and the United States, I think we have a unique position to do that. Number one, because we were over 400 years under Spain, so that's why you will see that we behave more like a Latin culture, but then we are part of the US, so we can combine those two qualities, and that makes us unique from any other jurisdiction. Besides that, we have a very attractive tax incentives. We have very, very comprehensive laws to bring manufacturing and other industries on the island. And as I always tell people, Puerto Rico is like a soft landing. It's a lot easier, cheaper to make mistakes here than it is to make it in the mainland. So that's what I will have to say by now. We will continue to elaborate more during the session, but it's very important that you guys understand this is USA, okay? No matter that we speak Spanish, no matter what, this is USA. Whatever you do here is considered that it's made in the USA.
Thank you, John. And now moving to Marisel with a little bit more specific on the investment side and regulatory protection. So specifically the question, Marisel, how does Puerto Rico's status as a U.S. jurisdiction with U.S. legal protections and regulatory alignment affect investment decisions for international companies?
Well, piggybacking on what John said, for me, Puerto Rico is the jurisdiction, honestly. It's the soft landing. It's the bridge between either the U.S. and Puerto Rico, the U.S. and LATAM, and also Europe and LATAM by our strategic location. In regulatory items, people or investors coming from the U.S. will find the business climate very familiar. Why? Because our banking laws are U.S. based. So if you choose Puerto Rico over a LATAM jurisdictions, there is no foreign bank accounts. Our bank accounts are U.S. So all the additional regulatory steps that you might have to take to incorporate in a foreign jurisdiction, there's no need with Puerto Rico. An important, our IP laws. If you are going to manufacture something, it's the same intellectual property laws than the US, so your IP is protected. One of the key points now, tariffs. If you manufacture in Puerto Rico, it's made in the USA. So there are no tariffs for products manufactured in Puerto Rico to go to the US. So definitely, I think Puerto Rico is a mix of, as John says, culturally, we're Latinos and we're part of the Latin community, but business-wise, we're more US, our culture, our business culture is more US based. So definitely starting a business in Puerto Rico is the way to go.
Thank you, Marisel. On regards to the industries, Arnaldo, I would like to start, maybe this is a question for the three of you. I would like to start with Arnaldo. What type of industries are the ones that are good for, to establish here in Puerto Rico? What's hot in the environment?
Well, Puerto Rico has, through the years, we've been always pursuing the highly regulated industries, pharma, life sciences, medical devices, aviation, space. And the idea is like it's easier for us to compete with the US that has higher wages than it is for us to compete with other low-cost jurisdictions. So, through the years, we have specialized in manufacturing. Right now, over 50% of our GMP is manufacturing, primarily geared towards pharma, life sciences, and medical devices. And the reason for that is what I said. For us, it's very easy to compete with other states that has high, wages versus having to compete with Costa Rica and other areas that are much cheaper than we are. So it is something that is important. Why? because we can be a bridge. We can be a bridge, from Latin America into the U.S. We can be a bridge between, Europe and the U.S. Normally, what we see here is a combination. Puerto Rico has a strong manufacturing base, but also a service base. And in the last 20 years, we've seen a lot of companies come from Europe, especially the banks, and all of them use Puerto Rico as in the learning curve, and then open stateside operations. For instance, Banco Santander was here for many, many years. Then they established a large presence in the eastern part of the U.S. Banco Bilbao Vizcaya, they went all over the U.S. They were here first, and we see that happening again and again and again. But nowadays, we also need to deviate a little bit because we have all this, reconstruction funding that needs to be done within a certain time, and that's where there is more opportunities. To give you an example, in Puerto Rico, we used to spend, the government used to spend about $2 billion a year in capital improvements. Now, suddenly, we find ourselves with $44 billion that haven't been spent yet of FEMA funding, and that's a lot of money, and it needs to be done, within a relatively short period of time.
And that's a key industry, construction industry. If you think about Puerto Rico, don't only think about tax incentives. The construction industry is booming because we need to reconstruct. We need to reconstruct our grid, our energy, housing. So I have seen, and Arnaldo also I know has seen and consulted and assisted many clients, foreign clients that come and partner up with Puerto Rican local construction companies for the big federal projects. So that's something that has not been in the Puerto Rico business ecosystem for a long time. It just started out with the funds from the reconstruction, but that's something that you have to, I want you to think about it because it's a very good opportunity and we need to partner up because there's a lot of reconstruction. Puerto Rico doesn't have that many companies and doesn't have a lot of population. So we need those partners, those strong partners to come up and join us helping the reconstruction.
Okay, besides the reconstruction and manufacturing, I'm pretty sure when you guys find out that the Diaspora Festival was going to be taking place in Puerto Rico, you were excited, not especially thinking about manufacturing, right, or construction. The island is well known for the beaches, for the culture, entertainment. Puerto Rico has been positioned worldwide as an icon in what comes with the entertainment industry, music, and other things. So those also are other opportunities that you can exploit here as well. All that is considered also in our tax incentive codes as an export service, as all that kind of activities. So besides all the manufacturing, construction, and many sectors that, as Arnaldo and Marisel mentioned before, Puerto Rico, I can say, can be a fit for everything. We always find a way. We have a very, I will say, positive and advanced government that they always find a way to fit to the industry that you want to do here. So just, don't be shy. Come up, say what your thoughts are, what you would like to do, and we always do the best to make it happen here in Puerto Rico.
Thank you. I'm glad you mentioned those options because I'm seeing the banner here. I'm just seeing too colorful, when it comes to tourism, when it comes to in general, creative industries, music, sports. That's something that is huge. And additionally, and I know Daliana here in the room can attest of that, is there's a lot of technology and software, and especially Latin American companies coming to Puerto Rico first before making the big jump to the U.S. So thanks again. You really covered a little bit on the reconstruction forums and the opportunities that are there. Arnaldo, how can companies from the mainland integrate into the opportunities, into all the projects that are happening down here?
Well, if you look at the diaspora, we have more people living in the States than in Puerto Rico. Ever since we lost in 1936, about 500,000 more people moved to the States. So what the government has been trying to do is incentivize people to move back. For instance, if you move out of Puerto Rico, and have spent 6 years outside of Puerto Rico, you can come back and only pay a 4% flat tax. So that's to be able to bring people. I mean, if you compare that to locals we pay 35, 40%, whatever that is. But the government is trying to bring people back, and obviously it's, if you can come back and help with the reconstruction, that'll be great, because we need all type of services. I mean, we're being challenged. Every industry is being challenged as there's not enough workers. And that's happening, here in Puerto Rico. It's also happening in the States. But if on top of that you can bring back and pay less taxes, that would be a great advantage. Also, in Puerto Rico, we like to, be welcome. We're very welcoming people. I mean, we like to say that Puerto Rico is open for business, because we want to accept everyone to come here. I mean, we're an open community in that sense. We like to hug. I mean, we're more, it's in our DNA, and that's what we want to do. We want to be able to bring people, and individuals and companies to Puerto Rico to help us reconstruct, to help us, invest in new industries, new technologies, help us innovate. For instance, Marisel will talk later. I mean, if you manufacture in Puerto Rico and you also do R&D, you have a 50% tax credit, that you can be sold and turn that into cash. So the government is really trying very, very hard to make it, to tell everyone we're open for business. We need you to come, we want the economy to grow, and the only way we can do it is if we bring, more people from the outside to help us, continue to further not only, our workforce, but also our education. I mean, education is very, very important. For the past 10 years, we've seen a lot of schools close. We cannot continue to let that happen. That's why we need to bring, people from the outside. We need them to relocate to Puerto Rico. We need their kids to come and study in our schools, study in our technical schools, and help us, continue to build a new Puerto Rico.
Well, touching on that and some key examples, don't think that you need to move your operations to Puerto Rico to partner up with a Puerto Rico company. For example, in construction projects, they were talking about why is the construction delayed, the reconstruction delayed. Why? Because we don't have as many architects to go over the plans, or we don't have that many engineers to sign off. So even services, those are services that you could partner up with a Puerto Rico construction company and provide those services. So there are many, many key industries and service industries that also don't think about, hey, I don't have a very big company. No, key services. So anything that can assist to the reconstruction, think about coming, partnering up, looking at the local ecosystem, and I think Puerto Rico is open for business, is in all honesty. So think about all those strategic, go down the chain of what a construction project does, and maybe there's an opportunity for you here in the island.
Okay. Something to add there?
Well, besides that, I will also say we're not familiar with the type of industries you guys are, but feel free to ask, because maybe we don't mention about your specific area, but we'll be more than glad to give you some information about it.
All right, so now that we convinced them to come to Puerto Rico, Marisel, maybe like in 5 minutes, you can give us a summary on the legal requirements that it takes to come down, and what are the regular mistakes that people do when they come down to the island.
So for me, before when in my career when I was younger, I thought that Puerto Rico was a hard jurisdiction to do business with. And when I started assisting international clients, my paradigm was changed. In all honesty, I think Puerto Rico is one of the easiest jurisdictions. For example, To do a corporation, the process is online. You don't need a Puerto Rico investor or a Puerto Rico person to be the owner of your company. When my international clients come, in that jurisdiction you need a local partner, or you need this amount of required capital. In Puerto Rico, a corporation, it needs a small amount of capital, but that is not required for you to have an initial investment as in other jurisdictions. If you have all the information, the process is online and can be done in one day. So many of the process you would think that are online, so definitely that's something. And if you have a U.S. shareholder, it's easier with a U.S. Social Security number. All the processes are readily available. But what I have also found out is even if you don't have a Social Security number or are foreign from Europe, from the Middle East, you can still set up shop quite easily. So, and for U.S. investors, definitely having the familiarity of having our commercial law, as I think John mentioned, we were 400 years under Spanish rule, and we are now a U.S. territory. So our laws are very diverse. So for civil law or family law, it's Spanish, but our commercial law, our general corporations law, are inspired. I don't want to say our law is copy and paste, but it is from the Delaware law. So you will be very familiar with the things that Puerto Rico has to offer. But for me, one of the key, and I don't think it's mentioned a lot, honestly, is the ease of organization and incorporation in Puerto Rico.
Thank you, Marisel. And deep dive into the tax benefits that you already mentioned. Act 60 is the popular one that a lot of people are, not only from the US, from around the world, they're benefiting from it. Can you tell us more about what Act 60 represents?
Yeah, so I'm gonna start with what if you don't come under Act 60? In that case, if you come, I mentioned construction, there's our corporate tax rate is 37.5, and our dividend rate is 15%. So for industries that do not fall under the Puerto Rico Incentives Code, we are kind of a high tax jurisdiction. However, you can be taxed as you can structure yourself. So that's what I do. It will depend on if for companies that do not come under the Puerto Rico tax incentives, pre-planning you have to do. But for companies that come under the Puerto Rico tax incentives, that's the golden key. So let's go through it. First, a question that I receive a lot, are the incentives based on companies or individuals? The incentives are based on industry. Like for individuals, you have to be a bona fide resident investor, which is what Arnaldo mentioned. That act was just amended to have 4% tax on interest, dividends, and capital gains. It was extended through 2055, so you can still apply. So definitely consider that. But for businesses, and that's a key misconception, you don't have to be a resident investor to have a decree under the Puerto Rico tax incentives code. So the industries that are incentivized, export services, my friend Arnaldo has an export services decree. He has clients all over the world. Manufacturing, my friend John has a manufacturing decree. With manufacturing, with export services, think about any type of consulting services that you can provide from Puerto Rico to markets outside Puerto Rico. Think about call centers. Think about having your headquarters here in Puerto Rico and providing the services, the back office services to your company in the US. For manufacturing, also if you have not only the manufacturing, like Arnaldo mentioned, if you develop software that goes under the manufacturing decree. Trading companies, if you buy and sell goods, and 80% is for markets outside of Puerto Rico. That also tourism. If you want to build a hotel, and we hope that you do, you can come under the acts. Green energy, like solar energy, solar finance. We have that one for finance. If you're a foreign bank and you want to have clients outside of Puerto Rico, for private equity persons, you can do a Puerto Rico fund. For insurance persons, you can be an international. So there's a lot. So we have been going through a list. So if there's not an activity that you cannot find, there's just a few, like retail, construction, but the Puerto Rico Incentives Code covers most industry, creative industry. That's why our Puerto Rican rappers have export services. They are very well organized. So definitely, you need to, if you want to go to Puerto Rico, you have to do your due diligence. Hey, what I'm going to do comes under the act. If not, what pre-planning can I do? And what are the benefits if you come under the Puerto Rico tax incentives? The 4% tax on net income. There's a 50% exemption on a local tax, which is a volume of business tax on sales, a 75% tax exemption on real and property taxes, and 0% on dividends in Puerto Rico. That's one of the key misconceptions. It only applies to Puerto Rico. If you have a company that is Puerto Rico based, but you're a shareholder that still lives in the US, you will still pay US tax. But definitely 4%. Who can beat 4%? And living under the sun with this weather, definitely Puerto Rico. You can make a case that we're one of the strongest jurisdictions.
Thank you. You just summarized an hour-long presentation in 5 minutes, so thank you, Marisel. You mentioned John and Arnaldo, they are examples. And so, John, on the manufacturing decree, can you let us know what does that mean for a manufacturing company doing business internationally?
Yes, we can't forget we're on an island, right? So everything to operate in an island is a little bit more expensive. So those incentives really kicks in. It really helps a lot. One of the main things for us is that even if you sell to the continental US, it's considered an export. So our biggest trading partner will be the continental US, and everything that we manufacture, even though it's manufactured in a US jurisdiction, going to a US jurisdiction is considered an export, and we can sell that with the 4%. So that is very, very, very important. Other thing is, if you decide to set shop in the island and you need to invest in new equipment, machinery, production facilities, also you can apply for incentives for that. I mean, most of the cases can be up to 50% of the cost of the machinery, equipment, etc. So again, we really need jobs. We really need to improve our economy. We really need to, we are very keen now in the nearshoring and reshoring. So for us in our business, without that tax credit, that tax incentive, we wouldn't be in business. There was no way we could be able to compete. And just for you to have it on your mind, most of people think maybe our biggest GDP comes from tourism, from rum, from this and coffee, whatever, is manufacturing, okay? And it's because of the tax code that we have and incentives that we have in place.
Arnaldo, when it comes to export services, that's key for an island. And I've been telling a lot of people within the Global Chamber, you should come down here, for what you do, you get the 4%. So tell us more about your experience on that.
Yeah, we always thought that the 4% applied to people coming in, moving to Puerto Rico and exporting services. Little did we know that Puerto Rican firms like ours, and we do insurance and bonding, we can export our services, and pay have a decree and pay only 4% on the business that we do outside of Puerto Rico. So what I'm trying to say is there is a broad, there's many things, a broad array of industries and opportunities that you guys can take advantage of, because we need a diversified economy. We can't just do one thing. Like in the past, Puerto Rico used to be an agricultural economy, and we were sugarcane, one thing. Out of that, Operation Bootstrap, we created many industries, petrochemical, and so on and so forth. We finally moved to, a manufacturing service. That's what we have right now. But that doesn't mean that there's not, technological companies also operating out of Puerto Rico. It's a little bit more challenging, but it can be done. And the benefits apply to not only people coming in from the States, but also for Puerto Rican firms, especially when it comes to exporting services.
Let me explain. So what I want to add, I was hearing in the last panel, and I think he was the panelist, the one in the, I don't know his name, the one you were the panelist, and you were saying about local but in a global sense. Mm-hmm. And yes, I was just like, it's not tax related, but it's so true. You were talking about culture, but local, so if you think about Puerto Rico doing business, don't think about coming in only to do business with Puerto Rican firms. No, that's the bridge part of our theme and our presentation. Think about Puerto Rico using the local to be that bridge to other parts of the world. So local in a global sense. That impacted me. I wrote it down. So I'm glad I commercial, but think about it. That's the key. And also with the diaspora, that's the thing. You're also local in a global sense because you represent us, you represent our culture in other parts of the world. So think also about Puerto Rico, about coming back, starting your business, but you don't have to uproot your life in the U.S. You can still do business in Puerto Rico, local in a global sense.
That's the perfect closure for that was a perfect line. But still, I wanted to ask you, Marisel, going back to the tax, is there anything specifically in terms of the duration or anything that people need to bear in mind when it comes to federal taxes?
Yeah, people always, and that's something in the news cycle, the tax incentives are going away. The tax incentives has been in our tax system since 1948. So a little background on it. Singapore copied and pasted our tax incentive from the 60s, and they developed their model based on ours. So the tax incentives are not going away. For example, it's a contract. It's a 15-year contract, renewable for another 15 years. But in all honesty, like for manufacturing, if you keep manufacturing and investing, you can keep renewing under all the laws. So we have had companies for 40, 50 years. So you can know that you will have a contract with the government for 15 years that even if they amend the law that just happened, for example, the people who came as individual investors prior to the new amendment and that have their decree, they have their decree. Their taxes won't go up. So having certainty, imagine that a jurisdiction comes to you and say, I will give you 15 years of certainty of what your tax will be, and you can have another 15 years. You can plan that out, you can help budget. So having those 30 years, 15 years, it's great, and having the certainty that the Puerto Rico government will not change your taxes, it's also great in the financial aspects.
Excellent. So we're going through the last round, and so any closing remarks from each of you? Yeah. I got the sign that.
I just wanted to say, following what Marisel was saying, in the case of our company, the company started in 1989, and we still have the decree. So we've been able to extend it a few times. So who wants to do the closing remark? I'll start? Okay. So first of all, I want to thank you all to be here. I mean, every time we get visitors, it's good for the island. You help our economy. You help to spread the word outside of who we are and what we have to offer. Please feel free to feel at home while you're here. We on the panel here and many other people in the island will love to support you and help you to whatever your goals are to be here in Puerto Rico. Even if it's coming for vacation for a few days or to consider to have a business here, we always welcome in for that. And again, I think that the strongest thing about this panel is that you have 3 actual examples. This is not just propaganda or blah, blah, blah. This is actual examples of people that we have businesses here, we have been benefited from the tax incentives and codes, etc., and we can do it. So thank you so much for your time. I'm gonna hand it over to my friend Marisel.
Hopefully by now you are just looking for opportunities to come and start at a business. Hopefully we piqued your interest as to choosing Puerto Rico on way for doing business. At least have when you go to, instead of thinking Nevada, Arkansas, which are now the hot topic locations. No, think about Puerto Rico and the incentives that we can offer, and not only the incentives but also the culture and what other advantages, the talent and the advantages that we have. Maybe you have not thought about going to Latam. Use Puerto Rico instead of going full on to Latam. That is honestly like an explorer. No, it's like come to Puerto Rico. You have your bank. You can have your bank account, and you can do your banking, and you can be in a U.S. jurisdiction. So honestly, as John said, we're private persons. We're like a lawyer, manufacturer, insurer that take the time to pitch our island to Puerto Rico, to foreign investors, because we believe we have the talent and we have the resources and we have the legal and tax structure for your business to be successful in the island. So.
For many years, we exported our people. You know, we have one of the best engineering schools in the nation, the University of Puerto Rico, Maya West. And all companies, you know, from early in the 70s, we had NASA, we have Honeywell, we have, you know, all these companies come to Puerto Rico and recruit the students, the graduates, and take them to the States. What we want to do is we want to have those people stay in Puerto Rico. And we want to bring more of you back so that, you know, you can export those services that you're doing in the States, export them from Puerto Rico. Because that way, you know, you win because the tax incentive gives you benefits. Puerto Rico wins because we get, you know, to have some of our people back, and we become a more competitive economy. That's what we need. You know, we need to be able to be competitive. We need to stop exporting our youth, and we need to import, you know, talent back to Puerto Rico to be able to take advantage of what the tax offers, the tax code offers, but also the support that the government is giving existing and new businesses. Thank you. Looking forward to meeting all of you.
Thanks. I think we have time for questions, right? Okay, perfect. 5 minutes. Any questions out there okay, let me.
So we took a tour, and the tour guide said that there are 3 million people on the island. 2 million of the 3 million live within the city. So can you speak a little bit about the rural opportunities, you know, how that works?
Like, for example, like that's why we need investors to come. For example, having a small even manufacturing operation outside of the metropolitan area, that impacts a community. We have manufacturing corporations. I know down in the south, one that I'm very familiar, Cooper Vision in Juana Diaz, that has changed a municipality. So think about that. And if you go on a smaller scale, we do have incentives for agriculture. So, and for tourism, we think about tourism about the big projects. Yes, they're the big projects, but also the B&B, the bed and breakfast, the parador, the condo hotel. So smaller projects can do, and that's why we're here on a Saturday talking about Puerto Rico, because we want not only for people to come into the metropolitan area and buy the condo overlooking the sea, which is what we all want. But go to the most affected Puerto Rican areas, the ones that do not have economic development, and set up shop there. And that will impact a community and change a municipality.
Yes, besides that, also there is a new opportunity zone map which will impact most of those areas. USDA, rural, there is some loans also specific for those areas. So yes, definitely it's worthwhile to take a look. And those areas, the island is not that big, so you can be like anywhere here between 3 hours, maybe the most. So, but yes, there is even incentive that if you're willing to locate there your operation, it becomes even more attractive than having it here in the metropolitan area.
Here's from the insurance expert. The weather, mitigating weather risks of people coming down and their assets. What are we doing in terms of protecting those businesses and sort of future weather-related issues?
Well, if you look at the codes, you know, and the way we build things here, I mean, on the hurricane side, we follow Dade County. And on the earthquake side, we follow California. So properties here tend to be very, you know, built in reinforced concrete. A lot of what we build is reinforced concrete. That doesn't mean that our infrastructure was not impacted. It was impacted, you know, through Hurricane Maria, especially on the energy side. You know, the PREPA was in bankruptcy. I mean, they you know, it's one of the first times that, you know, jurisdiction was hit with 2 Category 5s within 2 weeks, and we lost 100% of the power and 100% of the communications. You have never seen that in the States. You know, you may have had storms in the Northeast where the power went out, but never, you know, the power and the communications. So yes, we're trying to make Puerto Rico more resilient, you know, but our infrastructure needs to be more resilient so that we can withstand hurricanes in the past. But individual houses and businesses are, you know, are already, you know, very strong. You know, if you follow the construction codes, you will be able to get insurance, no problem. And even if you build, you know, your house on wood, you know, if it's built properly, designed, and it complies with all the codes, you shouldn't have any problems getting insurance.
Thank you for the shout out from the last panel. And I know I missed the beginning of this one, so I hope this is an appropriate question. So the company we run is a communications and engagement firm. When we do work around the world, our preference is not to recreate a new model in our new places, it's to find local partners. Are there programs like that here where you could help out of town businesses connect with the right local partners in a similar space to do a joint partnership instead of trying to recreate? Does that question make sense?
Well, our business ecosystem, I think, like, for example, like Parallel is here, Invest Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico has its own quasi-governmental agency that can assist. Like, it's Invest Puerto Rico. Ella Wood is there. She's great, definitely. But that would be the way to go on our ecosystem.
Communication has always been, you know, the fiber of Puerto Rico. You know, just to give you an example, you know, once upon a time, many years ago, the communication cable from Europe would come to St. Croix, then to Puerto Rico, and from here to the mainland U.S. So much so that International Telephone and Company was founded here in Puerto Rico. He was founded here by the Benz brothers that moved here from, you know, the St. Thomas, from the U.S. Virgin Islands, and founded this huge international company that, you know, used to be involved not only in communications, but hotels with Sheraton, car rentals with Avis, and even insurance, Aetna. So yes, you know, communication is important, and communication is what really unites all industries. So, you know, it's very key for Puerto Rico to maintain cutting-edge communications going forward, to be able to not only connect all industries, but also help us develop them.
Okay, I think if you want to say a few words
Last
more.
thing,
Yeah.
you have chambers of commerce, you have different associations, you have here Cesar with Global Chamber, so that's other ways.
Well, thank you, Arnaldo, Marisel, John. I invite you all to connect with them. Make sure you spend some time connecting with them. And I wanted to shout out as well, we have Denise from Invest Puerto Rico, and we have Daliana from Pilot 18. So I think anything you need is under this roof. So thank you very much, everyone, for staying with us here today.